Hey guys, this is Katie. I'm going to show you how to do this look. I did this look using my Venus 2 palette. I'll go into details on each shade and on what brushes I'm using and why I'm using them. So if you're ready to see that and you're excited, then continue watching because it's about to go down, okay? Let's not talk about my eyebrows right now. Okay, because we know there's a situation. I will fix it later after my dentist appointment today. But I'm gonna show you how to do my look I did last Tuesday with my Lime Crime Venus 2 palette. So first I'm gonna start with priming my eyes. I'm about out of this, but I'm a firm believer that there's a lot more in this packaging that I just can't reach, because that's what we like to do. We like to make packaging where I can only use 75% of whatever's in there. Okay, so I'm using the Urban Decay Primer Potion and Anti-Aging. I'm just going to blend that out, make sure my whole eyelid is covered. It's nice and tacky. But if I don't use this, then my eyeshadow will crease up really bad. I'm going to just put a little bit of blotting powder over where I just put that primer so I get a nice even application of my eyeshadow. This is the Kat Von D blotting powder. I'm about out. I'm so on the fence about Kat Von D right now. This is how I see it. Like, if you grew up like me, like a little emo kid and all that, it was so cool that Kat Von D got her own brand and she really like was outside of the box. It wasn't pretty pink, all of that. It was like her fonts, like all of her packaging is beautiful. I love majority of the products I've used. I've used products that I don't like by her. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've done that with everyone. But I'm on the fence right now. So I'm almost out. This is where I'm at. This will still last me a while. I've had this for a year now. A year last month, officially. This is the Venus 2 palette. If you've never seen the inside, this is what it looks like. Right now I'm going to go in with Mustard as my transition shade. This shade, Mustard, is really pretty. I have put it all over my eyelid before and just worn it one shadow type deal. It's a nice summery spring color. So I start at I normally always do a smoky eye, okay? Like, my eyes are more flattering if it's darker here and lighter here. It's my eye shape. Some people can pull off putting black right here. I cannot. I, for some reason, look really dirty when that happens. I don't know. I always think, I'm like, oh, you don't look cute. So I start here. I always apply my brush there first because I know it's going to be, that's eventually where the darkest of my application is going to be. The darkest of my application. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but hopefully someone understands what I'm talking about. I just got that like way up in my eyebrow though. But we're not going to talk about eyebrows. And then I just buff it in. I use a circular motion. Just make sure that I have an even blend. And I barely put any pressure on once I have majority of the product on, just so I can get it evenly distributed and to make sure there's no harsh lines. Also, I am a ginger. I have pretty transparent skin, so I'm gonna zoom in. You can see I have a lot of veins and freckles on my eyes that show through this mustard shade pretty bad. So if that's something that bothers you, Urban Decay does make a eyeshadow primer that is for that. It's a little, this one you can see right through it. Like, you don't know I have primer on, but they do make the same primer potion that would cover up all of that. It's fuller coverage if that bothers you, but it doesn't bother me. I don't know. Stuff like that doesn't bother me, and I hate when someone tries to bring it out to say it should be something that bothers me, because it just does not. I have skin on my face. My skin has dimples, it has pores, it has freckles and veins that show through it. I have a pretty decent vein going right there. It's skin, okay? It is a organ, and it gets probably the most abuse because it sees daylight every day, you know? I just, don't give me a complex over something I don't have a complex over. That's how I see it. So, rock it. Rock those veins that show right through this mustard shade. But I do have eyeshadows where you don't see it. Just making sure it's nice and even, no harsh lines. This brush is my favorite brush to do a transition shade. Basically, the way it's shaped, unless you know about eyeshadow, this might be confusing. Okay, so the way that this brush is shaped, it is basically a dome-shaped brush. I can easily apply product. I always dip right in and I start with it facing like this, but as I'm blending out, I tend to go this way and start buffing this way, and I can use different sides of the brushes of this brush basically to get whatever type of finish I'm going for. So because this is more gradient, I would do this and I would use this side of the brush instead of here, because then I would have more of a line, where if I use this side, it starts to blend it out and disperse those harsh lines. So, a little bit of fun fact. I just went there with this. I think that's the most teaching moment I've ever had. But this right here is a little bit darker. I think because I sit kind of sideways, it always look like that, but it's the same on both sides right now. Okay. Something I've been doing lately, which I think will help other people potentially, or just helps me keep my mind together. When I'm done with a brush, I'm not actually done with it because I know I'm going to pick it up again. So instead of putting it back in my brush holder, which I'll show you my brush holder because I'm proud of it. So this is my brush holder. I have an eye brush holder and then I have a face brush holder. So instead of just putting this back in here and getting lost with all the other purple, I set it in front of me so that I can always reach back and grab. How rude. So that's my brush holder. I'm going to go in with jam and I'm just going to evenly apply this to the tip of the brush. This is what it would look like, and then I'm going to tap off any extra. I never really have extra with this. I'm going to start just like I did with the transition shade on the outer corner. I'm going to do small circular motions all the way to the inner corner. So I'm going to make sure that I apply to the lid on the outer corner. I'm going to just make sure that I'm blending up into that transition to make sure it's nice and gradient. You never want a harsh line while doing your makeup. Harsh line over here, that's okay. Harsh line up here, no. So I'm also going to go back in with that transition brush. I'm not going to dip it back in. It has enough product on it already. And I'm just going to go on the very outside where that orange starts, not starts, but where the orange is faded out. I'm just going to make sure that I don't lose that mustard shade. Then I'm going to go back in, I'm going to dip back into jam and just build out this outer corner so that I don't have any goofy spots in my skin showing. I have kind of like a dip right here, so if I don't do that, no eyeshadow will ever touch that part of my eye. And I just make sure I keep building up. See? This is what that would look like. I'm going to do the same thing, but on the other side. I'm going to go in with a little bit more dense of a brush. Yes, I've already used this. I've only used it once, okay? But I'm not going to dirty up another brush just to do this toot. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the shade Mud, which is right here. It is a deep red brown. I'm going to go in with a little bit more of a dense brush because I'm just going to pack it on. I can blend with this brush. I just don't prefer it. I'm going to try to keep this from my pupil, like on the inside of my pupil this way, but I don't want it on the inner corner. So I'm just going to pack that shadow into this brush. So this is where the fallout starts. That's why I don't have any foundation on, because this shade and this shade, which is what I'm going to be using today, has terrible fallout. Okay, but that's okay. I still like this palette. So I'm going to start on the outside. And I'm just going to start packing it. That's about as far as I'm going to go with it. And I'm going to go right up to my crease and just make sure it's pretty even. Yep. So now that I've packed that on, I'm going to go back in with the same brush that I used in my crease, and I'm just going to blend that out. And I'm going to start in the back and just blend it through the crease. The higher up you go with a darker color, the more dramatic it gets, so I'm pretty dramatic. I like that. I'm going to apply a little bit more on the outer corner and up into that crease. And I'm just going to barely tap and drag that way so I don't get any harshness on the inner corner. See the difference? So this is blended. I'm going to add a little bit more right there though. So this is blended. This is not blended. Okay? So I'm using a dense brush, just kind of like the same one I was using on this side. It's just a different brand. And I'm going to tap in and really saturate that brush. I'm going to tap off any extra, and I'm going to go right into the inner corner, and I'm going to go right here. And I'm just applying basically the same way. I'm just packing the shadow on. So this is where I'm going to apply it for now, but after I get my foundation on, then I will bring it more out. So this is what that looks like. I'm going to go into the shade Pigeon. It's reflex green with a red base to it, and I'm going to use a really dense brush. I cannot blend with this at all. So I'm going to pack it in, and then I'm going to take my Fix Plus. I'm just going to spray that brush down. And I'm going to focus on the outer corner. Normally I don't do this, but it looked so cool when I did it. So I'm just going to focus on the outer corner, and I'm going to tap that shadow on. And I am going up into that blend to kind of cut the blend off. I'm not a fan of harsh lines, but this looks good. I'm going to do the same thing over on this side. What I'm going to do to kind of make it so it's not so harsh, but I still want that harshness, I'm going to go in with a clean synthetic brush. That's really not soft. It's soft, but it kind of has like a rubbery feeling to the bristles on this brush, almost like it's a fiber. Once you start building up a brush collection, you'll be able to pick out like, oh, this is a really soft brush, this is a more rubbery type brush. That's what this is. And I'm just gonna very lightly just go in there and just kind of soften it up. I'm barely putting on any pressure. And this is what we've got right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean up underneath, put foundation on, I'm gonna put primer, all that on. And then I'll be back. Okay? All right, bye. Okay, so I have my foundation on, my concealer, and I've set my face. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go back in with that blue and I'm gonna extend it out. I'm going to go back in with that jam color in the same brush I used in my crease, and I'm going to start from the outer corner and bring it in. I'm going to go in with my transition brush, clean up this outer corner. I'm actually going to dip back into that mustard shade and go right under where I applied the crease color and just make sure it's nice and blended out. And then I'm gonna go into the inner corner and just make sure that's there. I'm also gonna go in with that blue again, bring it down. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with a small flat shader brush. This is just a little flat brush, and I'm gonna dip into the shade Fly, which is a green highlight, and I'm gonna go into my inner corner and apply that highlight shade. I'm also going to put that same shade on my brow bone. And then I'm going to buff it out with this small blending brush. And I'm just going to touch the edge of where the transition shade and the highlight meet. And I'm going to put very little pressure on it. And I'm just going to make sure that there are no harsh lines and that it's an even gradient going all the way up. I'm also going to barely give any pressure and make sure there's no harsh lines on the inner corner highlight. And now I'm going to put on mascara, bronze, highlight, contour, do the whole thing, and I'll be back with you in just a moment. Okay, so this is the finished look using the Lime Crime Venus 2 palette. I have Venus 1, 2, and 3. I have now convinced myself I need the XL2 palette. I haven't convinced myself I need the XL1, but if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. You know, why would I have 4 when there's 5 of them? Like, I could just go with 5. But I'm gonna no buy right now because we're trying to buy a house. So Probably won't buy that anytime soon. But this summer, I definitely want that Venus XL2 palette because I think that's perfect. It's like shimmery greens and things like that. But right now, I don't have that. But this is the final look. I've got on bronzer, highlight, the whole deal. And now I'm getting ready to go to the dentist. So if you like this look, let me know down below. Give me a thumbs up. I don't know. I mean, this is how I do it. I'm gonna come up with some cute name for this too, like industrial glam. Right? I mean, if you're not feeling it, that's okay, because I'm feeling it. Alright, so see you later. See you next time. Thank you for watching.